Hi everyone, so it's Holly with Missouri River Soap, and I'm going to do something a little different today. I'm going to show you the unboxing of my new B3 Bomber Bath Bomb Machine. And this machine is made by Jason, who's a mechanical engineer in Washington. And he has been designing and producing and selling these bath bomb machines since 2010. Jason very generously sent this B3 Bomber machine to me to demonstrate on my YouTube channel and thought it might be of interest to my various subscribers and viewers. I must say I'm pretty excited about it. I have made bath bombs before, but I consider myself a novice still. And I don't really like hand pressing bath bombs. And so when he offered this to me, I was quite dilly-dang excited, if I may say so. So, whoo-wee, there is a lot of mechanical stuff going on in here. I love it. So, I think you can see in the box. So, we just have this new stainless steel table all set up so that I can have a bath bomb station. I think it's important to keep your bath bomb equipment sanitized and all that, and so the easiest way for me to do that is I'm going to keep all these. This is going to work for future situations. Recycle and reuse. Anyway, what I was saying is, I think it's important to keep everything sanitized, and for me, it's easier to have stations where I purposefully work on a product in one place. So this is over here, is going to be my new station, and I'll zoom out for that in a minute. Okay, I have a notebook here. I'm pretty excited to look that over. And everything's in here pretty snug, so I could probably just lift it out, but I am a shorty and this is a big box, so I'm gonna ask my husband to come up and pull this out of the box for me and set it on the table, and I will come back to you. Okay, so here we have the B3 Bomber machine that is out. There is a lot going on here, and I'm looking forward to reading the manual so that I can learn how to use it properly. It has a gauge here. Now, I do need a compressor and an air hose. My husband brought his compressor from the shop down to the garage and then got an air hose for me. So he's going to be connecting that soon. So I wanted to point out a couple of things. This is a new finished design for 2019, and it's a nice covering to protect from the raw metal, so it has smoother edges and easier cleanup, and I love that. It's a great feel. And there are 19 molds available, and I have the 2.5-inch mold, I do believe, round mold. And unfortunately, this piece did come in broken. Oh, here I am. My husband says that he can fix it for me, but I'll let Jason know about that. And I have a bunch of spare parts here. And one of the features of this is a safety system that protects the operator so that you can press your bath bombs quickly and easily. So I do hope that you will check out the description box down below, because there's a lot of helpful information. There's a link to this particular bath bomb machine, as well as any other information that I may put in there for you. So here we have the donut press. I'm really excited about that one. I like the idea of flat bath bombs. And I can tell you already, I'm planning on getting some of the tab type for steamers. This is going to be delightful. So it is thunderstorming, pouring down rain today. So we're going to work on getting this all set up with the compressor and the air hose. I'm going to read the manual, and it's raining today, so there's thunder. I don't know if you could hear it. So today's not a good day to start working on this, but I am going to come back in this video and make some bath bombs. Okay, so today I'm going to be using the donut mold. So I need to attach this upper portion into this section. The machine is completely unattached from the air, and the pressure is at 0 psi. The positioner is in its correct place. So you just kind of tuck it up in there, and with this little wrench, you just tighten it up. The sphere mold, I believe, is here now. Jason very kindly sent me a replacement, and it is in my mailbox as I speak, but I did not grab it yet for today. So the position, you can see, is just right, and this section is centered. So what I'll do is inside, this is the base to the donut shape. I'm just going to set it down inside so it'll be ready to go. Now I'm going to hook up the air. My husband has set up a special situation for me. He brought down his big compressor from the garage. And so what he did was ran an air hose from the garage up into the attic for me. And so we have a regulator here so I can monitor the pressure on the compressor in the garage. Have a little moisture dealio that I can, whatever that is, to remove the moisture. And so then the machine itself also has a gauge to monitor the pressure, and also a situation to remove the moisture. So it's kind of dual, but that makes sure that in all of the hose coming up to here, that if there's moisture, that we're eliminating that before it is hooked up. Now this kind of freaks me out a little bit. The hooking up is better than the unhooking. So I'm going to just take this hose and I pull this back and there we go. So now that's positioned. And you don't want any pressure on this, so bring that hose up and let it sit on the table. So let me think. I think that's it, and let's go make some bath bombs. Okay, so I've added 24 ounces of baking soda and 2.5 teaspoons of distilled water to my bowl here, and I'm going to mix this for 3 minutes. So I'm going to stop this a couple of times to clean off the edges. Yesterday I used 3 teaspoons of water, but today I backed back down to 2.5 because the humidity is up just a little bit today. So while this is running, I'm going to add in just a 1/2 teaspoon of apricot kernel oil, and this is just basically following the recipe that was provided. And I'm going to use a 1/2 teaspoon of black raspberry vanilla fragrance from Wholesale Supplies Plus. And I like to keep a alcohol soaked paper towel to just clean up my mess as I go. A little baking soda on the floor, not good. And then I'm using some Lakes today, so I am going to add in a titch of, this is Blue One. Oh, and it really does its thing. So I'm like talking dust at the teeniest amount. Otherwise, it'll be mostly blue. And then a little red 27. Now, it is best to use polysorbate when you're using Lakes, but I'm just kind of doing testing right now, so I'm not worried about it. I'm wanting to get some water-based dyes. I thought I had some, but can't find them. These KitchenAids, at least the kind I have, they don't do very well at getting the stuff off the edges. Mine is many years old, so I don't know if they have improved them since then. I do want to add a little SLSA to this batch. So I've made myself just a little hole down in there, and I'm going to get out my tablespoon and very carefully place it in. SLSA is very much airborne. It's recommended that you wear a face mask, a dust mask. So I just cover it back up. And just give it a real gentle stir. Okay, so now I'm going to weigh out 8 ounces of citric acid. And I realize that my citric acid has quite a large grain, and I feel like I'd like it to be a little bit more powdery. So I'm thinking about buying a food processor so that I can break it down a little bit. I'm trying to avoid the super large clumps so it doesn't take me even longer to make this batch. Well, I won't put that back in now that I've set it on my table. I'll rewash it. I'm going to use my spoon or my measuring cup to just kind of break up those pieces. I find that it won't go through my sifter very well. I'm going to still try, but it really does not go through well at all. There are just some really big clumps that I cannot break down with my fingers. So I am going to try I guess it's going to go through all right. There's some big pieces there at the bottom though. So definitely better to get a finer citric acid for sure. Alright, I broke most of those up, so I'll let the rest go in. Okay, so I am going to reposition over the bath bomb machine, and I have found that it does like to set for just a moment, so that's going to be a-okay. I find that it doesn't have to necessarily stick together super well right at this exact moment. We'll try it again in just a little bit and let it just sit for a moment. Okay, so let's try this. I just had to wake up my compressor down in the garage to get a little lazy. So the pressure here is sitting about 100. A little about 110 now. I'm going to keep an eye on that. So it feels like this could be a bit dry still for today. So I may have to tweak it, but let's just see what happens. So I like about just shy. Woo-wee. That went a bit too high. There we go. Bring that pressure down. There we go. So we're about at 90. Well, now I don't remember what I did here. So we'll start that fresh. I do think this is too dry. Okay, so have 1, 2, and almost a third more. Place it directly under, and then this one has a nice safety feature where you use both hands. So let's see. So this is broken, and this seems to be the name of the game for me on the first try or two. And this is why I'm working with just single color for right now. Let's try one more and see what happens. But if it doesn't work, probably gonna add a little bit more moisture to this. Oh, I forgot to make my little spot. Gotta make a little hole there. Oops, didn't grab it in the right place. So once again, broken. So I'm going to tweak this just a bit, and I'll tell you what I did. Okay, so I tried to stick closer to the provided recipe. I did add SLSA, and I wasn't quite sure what to add on the fragrance oil, so I just added a half a teaspoon. Anyway, so my revision that was working out well yesterday was a half a teaspoon more water, a half a teaspoon more oil, and 2 ounces more citric acid. So let's see how it goes this time. So it's a little bit different, still a little bit crumbly. Okay, let's try this again. And even still, the first one doesn't usually work well for me, from my small amount of experience so far. And I don't know how long you're supposed to hold it, but holding it a little bit longer does seem to help me. So you take this plunger and just put the mold on top. And there we have a cute little bath bomb. And one of the things that Jason with the bath bomb machine people, what he says is that the recipe is just a starting point, and everyone has a little different ingredients, a little different humidity, a little different situation, and so what works for one may not work for another. And I want to thank Kenny with Royal Appleberry for helping me out yesterday to troubleshoot. She gave me some good ideas, like adding more citric, which actually helped. So as you can see, having luck now. I didn't have any problems with the ones I made yesterday cracking. They did react a little bit to citric acid, but I do believe that's just because the citric acid is so, I had to be careful. My citric acid is so grainy, so the little bits inside the bath bomb, the citric acid in the bath bomb, they kind of, I don't know, they're exaggerated looking, if that makes sense. Alright, don't forget to make the hole. This recipe makes about 5. Looks like I could have used just a smidgen more on that one. You can probably see there's, I don't know if you can see, there's a little bit of gaps there. Like it's not quite as smooth as some of the other ones. Oh. This one's not happy. I think I just need to make it bigger. This base is drying out again, but it's still holding the shape pretty good. So I'm not going to add anything more to it yet. Okay, it does seem though as I get closer to the middle to end and it starts drying out a bit that it does do better with just a hair more. That looks better. I run a dehumidifier up here and I noticed that today, well, I tried filming one before and they kind of actually bombed. Whoa! The bath bombs bombed. Okay, this needs more moisture then. So I just have a small fine mist sprayer. I just a little bit of water. I'm just gonna spray in just a little bit. Kind of moisten it up. I don't like to add the water, but it does help a little bit. So I see these are over here cracking, so I don't know. I made the exact same recipes I did yesterday, and it went really well. At this point, it's the same recipes yesterday. That went really well. But the humidity is higher today. Yesterday was about 40, today's about 50 in here. Oh, see? So I guess we're doing a troubleshooting one here today. So I do believe that part of my problem is the fact that the humidity rises every time I turn off my dehumidifier. And it really does make a difference. Yesterday, I had my dehumidifier running all day, and I worked on these things, and everything just worked great. Well, not everything, but once I got this recipe going. And it's not the machine. The machine is great. It is all of the circumstances surrounding the bath bomb. The machine can only do so much. Okay, that one turned out pretty good. We'll see how it does in the long run if it decides to start cracking or not. I do believe a lot of the cracking comes from just the way I'm setting it down. It doesn't give it a head start, if you know what I mean. It's looking good. We'll just see how they go. I have not found a just super way to unmold these without tweaking them at all. See, I can't pick it up like this, you know, and set it down, and I just think that's exaggerating the cracks. If you have any helpful hints or tips I am just glad to have them. So you can see I still have this is still sticking together, and I only did 5 spritz of water. So let's see. Pretty sure I gotta put in most of it. This is actually like my 6th or 7th batch at this point. I'm gonna put it all in. And we'll just see how this one goes. The other 2 are not showing any signs of cracking at all. So, that is good. Alright, so here we go. Last one. That one's stuck again. So, that is non-delightful. In that case, looks like I need to loosen it. So, I do believe I'm supposed to do this with the air off. So, since I can't get that out of there, I'm gonna disconnect this. This about scares me to death. See if I can. Oh my word. Scared. That is so scary. Anyway, so just ignore the fact that I started loosening that. It is as I suspected. I had allowed that to get a little bit gunked up. And it just won't work properly when that's gunked up. So I've been using a little bit at the end of this Allen wrench. I don't know what it is. Is it an Allen wrench? I don't know. Anyway, to kind of break that up. So I could have been well on my way to finishing if I had done this properly. So keep that in mind. Okay, so I'm all hooked back up again. So I'm going to try to press this bath bomb, this last one again. It's starting to get a bit dry here. I did repress a couple of them over here that had cracked. So there we go, last one. So now that I'm done for the day, I'm getting ready to gather everything to be washed. I have to disconnect this air hose. I don't want to do it. Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna set this to the side for a moment. So here we have the bath bombs that I made in this day. I repressed these 2, and these 2 turned out pretty good. And then that's the one that I had to rescue and repress. So I'll check back in with you tomorrow. I'm going to get my dehumidifier, just get it going. Okay, so I have a little bit of fizzy base here. And turn on the water. And it's foaming because of the SLSA. Am I pretty? So much lusciousness. And the water is agitating the SLSA, so it's getting just nice and foamy. Okay, so testing one of the bath bombs I made yesterday, and it's nice and hard, but I'm not sure if it's gonna float. floating. I've been testing several, and the thinner bath bombs are floating, but the thicker ones that are apparently compressed a little bit more, a little heavier, they're not floating. So it's just going to take some tweaking. This one's just moving right along, just going places. Alright, so it's the next day, and these are the purple ones that we made, and I would say that they did quite well. They're a little grainier, they reacted just a little bit, and the weight of them did kind of squish just a hair. I don't know if you can, I need to push this back a little so I have room for my hand. So you see those marks on the bottom where it kind of squished a little bit. It's just a little bit reactive, but otherwise pretty good. Nice and hard. Now these are the exact same recipe and the batch I made the day before these. Now this one was, the biggest thing was that I was able just to make the fizzy baits, go over to the machine, press them, be done. And it's the exact same recipe. Humidity was just a hair less that day, but I was able to keep my dehumidifier going that day while I worked. And it does not, well, that one has just a hair of squishage on the bottom, but really not a whole lot. Like even this one is super fat and heavy, and it does not look like it has been weighted down and squished. Now these were ones that I made directly before these, and it's a slightly different recipe, and it had too much moisture, and it definitely squished, and some of them started to crack. They are nice and hard, not concerned about that, and I've actually tested one and they're really nice. So, and they floated, and it was, nope, those ones did not float. Those ones did not. So they were nice otherwise. A bath bomb still does the same thing whether it floats or it doesn't float. So let's go ahead and test one of these purple ones and see what happens. I'm going to take this not quite as gorgeous one, still nice, and let's just see what happens. Now it is early, it may need to dry a little bit more before it'll float. Let's see, am I in the right spot? Yeah, I think so. Ooh, it sunk, but it came back. It's a little bit weighty. I do believe, given some more time to dry, since it's the same recipe as the other, that it would go ahead and float. But I will include a clip of the pink one of the exact same recipe the day before, and it is floating. It just had more time to dry out. This one is like kind of hanging out on its side. Anyway, I just wanted to get the video up, so I am rushing this just a little bit. But as you can see, it's still foamy and delightful. The humidity is quite low up here today, so these were really drying out fast, but they just needed that, they do need that extra time to dry so that they will float all the time. Alright guys, I will plan on doing more videos. I have this sphere mold to play with, and I'm actually really excited. I'm excited to continue on. So I'll see you for the next one. Bye guys.